Hey y'all, and welcome back to Dusouth Sips and Travel Tips. I'm Nina V. King DuPont. If you're new here, my husband and I frequently travel to all-inclusive resorts, and we bring you the tea surrounding every resort that we go to. We try to be as honest and transparent about these resorts that we possibly can so that you can make an informed decision. In addition, we give pro tips along the way, and I also do videos for you all about traveling in general. So today we're going to talk all about how I fly budget airlines at such a cheap cost. So the first question that you might have is, well, what's a budget airline? A budget airline is an airline that has a rock bottom price for their seat, but there are fees surrounding that. So for example, you are going to be charged a X amount for a carry-on bag, or a X amount for a checked bag, X amount to board first, X amount for drinks. I'm not going to say what these amounts are because they could change tomorrow. So that really won't help you. But if you go to the websites for these airlines, they will let you know what those costs are. The top three budget airlines are Spirit, Frontier, and JetBlue. I personally fly Spirit and Frontier a lot. We fly Frontier more than any other airline. We have never had the first issue. It's always a great experience. The seats might be a tad uncomfortable, but if I'm getting a major discount on that flight, it doesn't matter to me. But it may matter to you. What are the fees that surround budget airlines? So I just talked about that a little bit. Again, if you want to know the exact cost, you'll need to go on those websites. A carry-on suitcase is more expensive than a checked bag is. So if you want to save a little money, you can check a bag, and that is cheaper than bringing a carry-on. In addition, if you purchase a carry-on item for any of these budget airlines, it also puts you in that board first category. So you're going to get that zone 1 or that zone A on your ticket no matter what. So that way you're able to board and put your suitcase above your seat area, that you're insured that. Pro tip, if you're flying with another person, I've never done this in a group, but just one other person, if that person doesn't have zone 1 on their ticket, they can still board with you when you board. So that's a really nice touch. I really appreciate that. Also, another fee that surrounds budget airlines is it may cost you a little bit more to sit where you want to sit. So for example, whenever we go to Mexico, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, the flight down there, I always sit us towards the front of the plane. That's going to cost a little bit more money. They don't have like a first class situation. The front of the plane may be a little more expensive, but the seats are larger. It is more comfortable, but they don't have like a first class like Delta or American, etc. Just know that. Do I have to pay for drinks in a budget airline? Yes, you do have to pay for drinks. I would recommend bringing like a bottle of water. They will give you a cup of water if you want that with ice. It does come from a bottle, but I get that a lot. You do have to pay even for coffee or tea, so just know that. Pro tip, if you just get coffee or you just get tea and you don't get alcohol, a lot of times the stewardesses or the individuals, the flight attendants, may not want to ring you up for that because it's a pain. So a lot of times we will get the tea or coffee for free. Just a pro tip if you get lucky. What do you consider the main budget airlines? I talked about that a little bit earlier. Frontier, again, Spirit, and JetBlue. I will say that JetBlue is a little bit nicer. I think that they're about to merge with Spirit. I could be wrong about that, but the JetBlue planes, everybody gets a TV screen. That's really nice. On Frontier and on Spirit, you don't get nothing, okay? I mean, it's just the seat. So just be aware, bring a tablet if you want to watch something or a book or whatever, just a heads up. It's no frills at all. How do you book flights so cheap? So this is what everybody wants to know. when I know that I'm going somewhere, for example, like I know that I haven't booked my air for July yet for our Valentine Imperial Riviera Maya trip, nor have I booked any other air except my June air. So I do have flight trackers on and I will watch it. Right now, the air has fallen to just $236 per person on Frontier. It's the flight I want. It's the 6 a.m. flight flying down there. I love to get down there early. Most people don't. So that earlier flight is going to be super cheap. And then flying home, there's another good price point for that. It's obviously $236 is included, nonstop, etc. So that is a Frontier flight I'm looking at right now. I'm able to see Google. I will get an email if that flight goes up or that flight comes down. It did go up a little bit last week to 3 something, but then it came back down. So about 2 months out is when I book. That's my safe zone. I know then I usually can hit it pretty well. It's kind of like gambling. Sometimes I really hit the mark, sometimes I don't. So you just have to take all that in consideration. Another thing that I do, especially if I'm going to more of like a hot destination like Montego Bay. I mean, there's so many flights to Cancun, y'all. I mean, come on. But if I'm going somewhere like, if I'm flying into Guanacaste in Costa Rica and there aren't a lot of flights that go there, I will also look at one-way flights on one carrier there and one-way flights home. So I think even, this past March when Greg and I flew to Jamaica, we flew down on a Frontier flight, we flew home on a Spirit flight. I was able to get it much cheaper. So that's definitely a hack that I use. I also will put that Google tracker on those one-way flights if the flights are looking wonky pants. Another thing that I do that is really kind of controversial, if it's even allowed, is I do look at what they call like city skipping or flight hopping, I guess you could call it. Hidden cities is something else is called. A lot of times what I will do is I will look and see if, especially on the way home, not going down, but on the way home, if there is a flight, let's say from Montego Bay to Orlando, but they make a stop in Atlanta, I will just fly the flight to Atlanta, and obviously I won't get on the flight to Orlando. I'm able to do this because we carry on bags. We don't check bags. If you check a bag, your bag's going to end up in Orlando. But because I don't check a bag, I'm able to get off in Atlanta and go through customs. So if you can look, there is a website you can go to, I'll link it down below as well, about that hidden cities. And or if you're just kind of savvy like me, you can look and see, okay, from Mo Bay on Friday, December 31st, I could fly to Orlando, but make a stop in Houston, Texas, and that may be your home airport, and it's going to be much cheaper. So that's also a pro tip. I have heard that if you do this often, you can get flagged by an airline and banned. So I'm not fully saying you should do it, but maybe once in a blue moon. I know Greg and I don't do this all the time, but we do this once in a blue moon. So pro tip, Southwest Airlines does not play with Google Flights. So you need to go to the Southwest website and check directly. I know for us, Southwest price is insane now. They have not brought back their direct flights to international destinations from ATL Airport. So we usually don't fly them anymore unless it's domestic. The nice thing about Southwest though is that you get a free carry-on bag, and you also can pay into what they call the early bird. The early bird is where you actually line up, you are assigned a number and you line up for like in this whole rotation in order to get onto the airplane first. So it can be a little confusing, but it's well worth the money, I think, because on Southwest, you're not assigned seating. So if you are one of the first ones on the plane, you can pick exactly where you want to sit. And that's really, really nice. So I always buy into that early bird if I am flying Southwest Airlines. If you don't live near a hub, meaning like a big airport, like Atlanta or I would assume like New York is a hub, okay? It's gonna be a lot tougher for you to do a lot of these hacks. If I happen to live somewhere like, I don't know, in the middle of the country and I'm not near a hub like St. Louis or something like that, if I know I'm gonna have to make a connection, I'm definitely gonna book those flights at least 4 months in advance, because you're gonna have to make some kind of connection. I know I've met a lot of people at all-inclusive resorts. They cannot, because of where they live, they cannot fly for the prices that Greg and I are able to because of where we live. I mean, you can definitely try these tips, but if you, again, live in a part of the country where you're not near a hub, not sure if that could work. Another thing you could always look at is flying into ATL airport and then flying out from here, because our prices are just so good here in ATL. So there are also charter flights. A lot of flight attendants can book you on charter flights. They are a little cheaper. We have not brought back charters here in ATL for years. I know St. Louis does a lot of charter flights, especially with Apple vacations and things like that. So that's also definitely worth looking into if you're going to use an agent. Do you ever book flights through third-party websites? No, I never book flights through third-party websites. Again, I use that Google Flights, and then let's say I found a Delta flight I want, I'm going to go straight to the Delta website and book there. That way, if something happens to my flight or if I need to make a change, I can call the airline directly and handle that, okay? So I would not recommend booking flights through Expedia, through Cheap Caribbean. I just would not do it, because you're gonna have to go through that third party. And a lot of times with these websites, the customer service is not great. I know some people use it and swear by it, but I never ever would do that. The only way I would do it is book the resort only through Expedia or Cheap Caribbean or whatever. They have those options. Like I did book the Montego Bay Holiday Inn through Expedia because I got a great price, but I also booked the flights and everything on my own. So that's just my opinion. So take it or leave it. I wouldn't use sites like Cheapo Air. I would not. In regards to all-inclusive resorts, do you ever book packages? So I used to. I have used Cheap Caribbean a couple times years and years ago. I used to use an agent. I do not now. I like the control that I have over my vacation. If something were to happen, I am savvy enough to figure it out. I'm very, very well traveled to these countries and these all-inclusive resorts, and I know how to book transfers. I know most of the owners of these transfer companies, so I feel very comfortable. However, with that being said, if this is your first time going to an all-inclusive, I would definitely book through an agent. Until you get to know the ins and outs, I would book through an agent. So that agent will be able to bundle everything for you. Either you can just allow them to do it, or you can say, hey, I want these airlines, I want this, this, this. They may or may not be able to do it based on the tour operator that they go through, because essentially the travel agent is just going through a third-party tour operator. So that also depends. You know, some agents use Apple Vacations, some use Impressions. I mean, there's so many things at play. Another thing I would not do, pro tip, I would not book my air through the resort. I know people like in the Valentine group and people even in like El Dorado Seaside Suites groups, they've had so many issues. If there's a change with their air or something has gone on with their flight and they have booked directly through the resort for air, I would not do that. But that's just my opinion. Do you check a bag or carry on? If you watch my Pack With Me video, you know that I only carry on, okay? I don't wanna wait for checked bags. I'm gonna link my suitcase for you all in the description box below if you haven't seen that. So on these budget airlines, I do use a carry-on, and that's the carry-on that I use. You can also take a personal item. Go to the airline's individual website and see how big of a personal item you're allowed. Greg does take like an old school JanSport backpack. I will put a picture of that here. He's able to get all of his clothing and his, anything that he needs to get ready for the day, that sort of thing, in that backpack. So he does feel it pretty full. It is able to go under the seat. That's the main thing. It's got to go under the seat in the cabin. I bring the suitcase, and in addition, I also bring this Dooney and Burke. It is a Haunted Mansion theme bag. I've had it forever. I bring this, I put my laptop in this, I put a tablet in it, I am able to put my pocketbook in it. I always carry a clutch, so it's easy to go in there. And I also put my makeup, like, train case in there. So it's really nice. It goes right under the seat. It's perfect for me. So I am not charged for that personal item. So just know that it has to go under the seat if it's a personal item. I don't want you to get to the airport and get charged. You are going to pay more money for those bags if you pay for them at the airport. It is so much cheaper if you pay for them 24 hours prior to your flight. I always do that. I'll go ahead and buy them when I book these budget airlines. What has your experience been like flying budget airlines? Have you ever experienced delays, flight changes, etc.? No. I did actually get delayed one time years ago when flying Spirit to Philadelphia, but internationally I have not. I always take the first flight out every morning. I'm not sure if that helps. I mean, I know a lot of airlines are getting delayed lately. It's not just these budget airlines. So I personally have not experienced anything like that. I know some people have. I have gotten like the time changed on me. For example, when we were going to Jamaica last March, we were supposed to fly, I think at 7:30 in the morning, and they changed the flight time to 8 or something like that. Not a big deal. So those are just kind of par for the course, but we've always had great experiences. I don't have anything negative to say. I mean, you know, the people that do fly these airlines are more like the people you might encounter at McDonald's rather than the type of people you might encounter at a 5-star restaurant. I will say that. But I mean, for short flights like we do, it does not matter to me. I would rather take that money and put it towards a nicer room or a longer stay at an all-inclusive. I just don't care about the flight. I'm on it 2 hours. I'm never gonna see these people again. Who cares? So that's just me, but your preference may be that you have to fly Delta and sit in the nicest seat and whatever, but I really don't care. Finally, I would also recommend looking at exactly what type of suitcase or carry-on or check bag you're gonna bring. Add up those fees in addition to how much the flight costs, so that way you're going to know if it is actually cheaper to fly that budget airline than it is American or Delta. Okay, sometimes it might come within $20 or $30, and if you're, you know, wanting to just fly Delta and not worry about that $30, then it may be a better option for you. So I would definitely, when you are looking at these flights, factor in the carry-on suitcase, factor in the check suitcase. So just know that, okay? I really hope this helped you all. I know this is something that I live and die by to get to these resorts. That's another reason we're able to do so many all-inclusives. If we had to pay $1,000 every time just for flights to fly to all these destinations, or $2,000, we would not be able to go and do as many that we do. So I encourage you to keep an open mind about flying these budget airlines. It's always been fine for me. So I want to pop in here really quickly and discuss layovers with you all. One of the ways too that sometimes we are able to save money is by flying layovers, choosing a flight that's a little bit less. However, sometimes it can take up your entire day, as you know. I know a lot of times we will choose to take, there is a flight home from Dominican Republic and a flight home from Cancun that has a stopover in Orlando. Sometimes we will opt to do that. But Greg really put his foot down this last time when we went to Jamaica, and then we had a layover in Fort Lauderdale, and it really did take up our entire day. It was pretty rough. So Greg has said no more layovers. So if it's just me flying, I don't care. Layover does not bother me. But you know, be open to those. I know last year when I went on that girls trip to Breathless and Chick Punta Cana, I did a layover because I was like working from home. I did a layover in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I have never been to San Juan, so that was really great to kind of give me a taste of that area of the United States. I would love to go back at some point. They don't have all-inclusive resorts there, but I did stay at the Condado Ocean Club, and it was really, really nice. So if you are able to do a layover and explore a new city, or if you're able to do a layover, and again, that layover in Puerto Rico was overnight, so that was pretty cool. So anyway, just food for thought. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. It's the only way we're gonna grow. Please also turn on that bell notification so you'll know every time I upload. I've been trying to upload a video for y'all every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Next week, I will have some kind of resort review video for you all. I do have a lot of pictures and footage from Secret Swatuco. I am leaning into that, or El Dorado Seaside Suites. I'm not sure which yet, so you will see a resort review next week, however. Thank you so much. If there's anything that you would like for me to touch on that I didn't, please drop it in the comment box below, and I hope that you have the best rest of your day. And remember, experiences are greater than material things.